Welcome along to One Hub Racing Season 25, round number 9, as we head to our final sprint weekend of the season. It is the Circuit of the Americas for the United States Grand Prix, a replica for what we're going to see in real life in just a few hours' time. My name is Jess Ball, and joining me in the commentary box once again, doing a stellar job as lead comms last week whilst I was recovering from my voice, is Mr. Mike Edwards. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing absolutely fantastic, Jess. Looking forward to this one. Of course, spring qualifying, plenty of opportunities for the drivers to gain a few extra points in terms of their championship battles out there.
Yes, indeed. And for those of you that are wondering what the sprint race format entails, well, we will tell you in just a few moments. So, one-shot qualifying will await our drivers. Then we got 10 laps of sprinting action. Then we had to do a complete lobby restart. The top 10 get reversed. Plus, though, to apply those engine penalties, which are reflected from the reverse grid for the top 10. And you're going to probably be there a long time because we've got not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, 9 drivers who have got engine penalties this week in the P1 tier. Good luck, Lukey, for you doing the grid later on, with Colin's help, of course. So, here we go then. Here is the 9 drivers that have got engine penalties for the P1 tier. We got Arnold, Leroy, Nick, Malvin, Konzo, Lukey, Bera, Craggy, and Senna. And Mike, are you surprised that those 9 drivers have taken their engine penalties here?
Well, I mean, we were saying, obviously, last week and the week before, leading up to it, we were surprised that there were some tracks that hadn't been picked for the engine penalties. And we was looking at, obviously, Coda and, of course, the likes of Mexico and Silverstone being the ones which we thought they would go ahead and take engine penalties. But 9 drivers picking up the engine penalties here tonight. It's going to make things interesting and could be very beneficial for those that haven't taken engine penalties here.
Yeah, so we saw that make a difference for quite a few of our drivers in the P2 tier, so I wonder if we're going to see the same here tonight as well. So best of luck to everyone who does have their engine panel. We are about to get started for one-shot qualifying. We will go through the standings in between the sprint and the lobby restart. But we got Tony that is leading the way on 118 points. He won last time out in the last race in Portugal, and he did really well with his teammate Casper in P2. It's like a domino effect with the America Grand Prix in real life, because Haas are doing very well in real life as well. But this time in the P1 tier, it's Haas P1 and 2 in the championship and the drivers, and they're P1 and the constructors. They're just on fire at the moment, these two.
Yeah, absolutely. They are in fine form. Both of the Haas drivers doing incredibly well in recent weeks. And, I mean, they have stormed the way in terms of the constructors' standings as well. And we could be looking at a similar story here tonight. However, the Circuit of the Americas, a very tricky track, and one of these drivers are going to have to navigate on.
Yeah, we'll see how they'll navigate them later on as well. Of course, we've got, obviously, one-shot qualifying that determines the grid for the sprint race. And around this track, we've seen that in many instances in real life as well. Track limits can be a factor. We've seen lots of lap times deleted, and it's not like you can go again and do another lap like short qualifying. This is it. If you mess up in one-shot qualifying, then you're going to be starting at the back of the sprint race, and that is not good.
No, absolutely not. And we will be getting underway shortly here in qualifying, but I mean, as you mentioned, they got one shot, one opportunity, a big lock-up into turn 1, running just a little bit wide through the triple right-hander in the final sector. Like, there's so many places where you can just lose bits of time during it. Of course, in the swoop-in section in the first sector as well, being a main one to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, so we'll see how they fare throughout the lap as well. We'll see who will go on board. We usually like to go on board with a different driver. But here we go then. Let's stay on board with Casper, actually. Why not? He's P2 in the standings, and it saves me having to change quite a bit of camera work. So, heading down towards turn number 1. Keep as tight to the left-hand side as you possibly can into third gear, as you possibly can as well, but you decide to stay in second. This is the Mickey Mouse section of the circuit coming up now. Remind you of Maggots and Beckett's and obviously the ESTA section in Japan. Just a slight lift fifth gear. He approaches through there as he keeps the tight line through fourth, and now heading towards 7, 8 and 9. Keep tight to the curb as you possibly can. He's currently 14th at the moment, so he is struggling a little bit to get his lap hooked up, but we'll see what happens as he makes his way now towards turn number 10. Missed that apex just ever so slightly, so he may have forgotten to choose his setup a little bit, but he seems to be keeping it tidy through the second half of the lap anyway. Going straight on through the DRS straight, full power, 8th gear, and now I think to third or second gear in towards turn number 12. Again, keeping it tight on the left-hand apex coming up as well. Turn 13 and 14 treat as one corner because you can have a really smooth line through there. And turn 15 and 16 do exactly the same and aim for the left-hand apex. Istanbul Park is reminiscent of this corner as well. Absolutely beautiful. That should definitely be back on the F1 calendar, but it's not. Casper heading towards the last few corners now. Tony at the moment is going to be on pole position. We are now in second. But where will Casper end up very soon? We'll have to wait and see. Tony slots himself with a 1:30.9. Absolutely incredible. But where does Casper end up? P12, so he's gained one place there. But Mike, quite a few drivers have got disqualified.
Yeah, and obviously that's just the nature of this circuit, but we can run you through the order. I mean, look at that, 6.5 tenth gap between Tony and Arnold. Oh, has my Discord dropped?
Nope, I forgot to unmute. Stupid me. Right, we'll go for your order then. Tony, Arnold, Marvin, Waitsy, Senna, Craggy, Nick, Cashman, Ben, Callum, your top 10. Barrett and Casper, the last two to set laps. And we have 5 disqualifications. Conzo, Leroy, NC, Axelot, and Luco. And now we go to the main sprint race, and it's quite a familiar sight in terms of weather. Of course, at One Hub Racing, we have the adaptive weather system where a wheel gets spun and there's multiple combinations that we could have on offer. We have not had a dry sprint this season, and we're not going to have a fully dry sprint today. It starts off wet, and it goes to completely clear towards the end of the race. We saw in the P2 tier, people had to pit. I wonder if it's going to be the same here tonight in P1.
I mean, that's going to be the big question of whether or not it is going to go dry enough, quick enough for the dry compound tires. Obviously, in terms of how this will affect the drivers out there on track, obviously, in the wet conditions, this track, when it comes to picking up the 3-second penalties, the track limit warnings, they become a lot more frequent. So, I mean, we saw a few drivers invalidate on their lap in one-shot qualifying. We could see a few 3-second time penalties picked up very quickly around here now.
I think so, potentially. I think they just got to be wary. Of course, the safety cars, they rarely do come out around this circuit in the sprint race, so that is something to watch out for as well. If you make a mistake, then pretty much that's your race pretty much gone because you don't have to pit until the crossover point. So that's something to just be wary of for our drivers. But whilst we wait for everyone to get their setups loaded and their strategies nailed on, well, it's the same strategy really, wets to dries. But let's run you through your order then for the championship standings. Tony leads by quite a decent amount of points to Casper on 118. Casper in second on 102. Atzlock in third on 99 points. Lukey in fourth on 94. J. Cole's not here tonight. He's in fifth on 76. Callum Unarmed is sixth on 57 points. Nick in seventh on 52 points. Cadman in eighth on 49. Mateo in ninth on 48. Entity in 10th on 44. Arnold 11th on 37. We got Kieran in 14th on 29, Awaitsy in 15th on 24. Then we got Samster in 16th on 19. Then we got on 19 as well. Then we got Larkin in 19th on 11, but he's not going to be here for the rest of the season. Then we got Malvin in 21st. Then it's Leroy, Barrett, Ben Harriet, Craggy, and our newest driver to One Hub Racing making his return, but his first appearance in the top tier, ERT Senna 96, who's going to be replacing one of the Sauber drivers. So we got the formation lap going on, and unsurprisingly, everyone's going to be on the intermediate tyres. And with a few people invalidating, it's going to make things very tricky. But it's all about the strategy here today. If you get your pit lane lap correct, that can gain you a lot of places.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all going to be about keeping attuned to what's going out there on track. And I know later in the race, the drivers will 100% be checking and keeping up to date with the tyre temperatures and on their intermediates, because naturally, Coda is one of those tracks where you do overheat your tyres anyway, but on a drying track on intermediates, it's going to become very, very difficult. So making sure you have that pit stop strategy on point is going to be crucial.
Yes, indeed. And if you get it wrong, then that's it. You got to have that gap that you desperately needed. But if your teammate is a lot quicker than you, maybe, and you're a lot slower, maybe you could be used as a guinea pig, maybe pit a lap earlier potentially. And there could be some drivers that could be knocked out of championship contention if they don't do well in the sprint race. So if they still want to be in the championship fight, they got to have a good result here, because we do not have that long until the end of the season. We've got pretty much, after this race, we've got Mexico next week, then we got a break week, then we got Silverstone on the 10th of November, and then after that we got Canada on the, let me just check what date it is, the 17th of November, and that'll be the end of the season. So I'll keep an eye on the permutations, by the way, to see what happens. I'm sure Cam is eagerly watching this stream to keep an eye on us as well, because the permutations are out of date because he didn't check about the sprint permutations. But there we go. But Tony makes his way onto the start-finish straight, warming up his tyres. I have to say, Malvin and Waitsy are the ones who impressed. So is Senna as well. Those three probably had their best, well, Malvin and Waitsy had their best qualifying of the season. Senna, impressive debut with his one-shot qualifying in the top tier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a P5 in one-shot qualifying, nothing to be snuffed at, that is for sure. Senna doing very well. But, I mean, we all know how things can change on this circuit, Jess. You could do well in qualifying and just one mistake and your race could be over in the race. But we're getting ready now to go to those 5 red lights in just a moment. So I'll pass it over to you, Jess.
Thank you very much. It's the last few cars are about to make their way onto the grid. We've got 10 laps of sprinting action then. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it is time to rock and roll for the first time tonight in the P1 tier. Tony gets a really good start off of Arnaud into turn 1. They go up the hill, but Arnaud takes a sweep onto the left-hand side and tries to cut back on Tony. Can he do it? They still go side by side, heading towards the start of the Mickey Mouse section. Can they keep their noses clean? They're going to try at least. Arnaud to the inside, and that's a fantastic move from Arnaud. Arnaud leads the United States Grand Prix sprint race. Waitsy made a brilliant move on Marvin as well, up into 4th place. We've got some side-by-side action happening in the background with Casper and Callum making inroads as well in the background. In towards turn 8 and 9 they go now. As Casper's won a little bit wide. Malvin to the inside of Waitsy. He's got past Bim back into P3. And then we got the two Albers fighting around the outside. Goes Craggy in towards P5, and then Senna tries to fight back as well. There's so many action going on. Lukey started last and he's up into 12th place already. Here they come then towards turn number 12. All of them go. Senna is going to go to the approach. We've got to change to the lead. Here comes Tony to the inside. Squeezes Arnaud, but just about makes it through. But can Arnaud fight back? It is so squirmy on the exit, but Tony takes the lead. But what a great fight with Arnaud up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Arnold and Tony doing absolutely fantastic. Meanwhile, you got the Saubers battling like they are the Ferraris from yesterday's sprint qualifying right here, Jess.
Yeah, looks like it, isn't it? We got pretty much it's Haas versus Red Bull, and then we got the two Saubers, and then obviously we got the two Mercedes powered cars in between, which is very, very exciting as well. And bearing in mind, this track doesn't use that much fuel in the wet, so they could go for it. They could go full guns a-blazing. They don't have to pit unless they get to the crossover point. So they're literally going, pedal to the metal on lap 2 out of 10. Tony leads Arnaud by 5/10 of a second now. Malvin in 3rd. Waitsy just keeping his nerve in 4th place, but he's now out of the 1 second range, which will probably come into effect once we see that the conditions start to dry up a bit. And bearing in mind, I think we've seen quite a few people getting warnings already, so they got to be wary because they do not want to get any warnings, because the penalties will come their way very, very soon. But we are starting to see them turning up the notch to 11 with these battles. Here's Waitsy. Craggy's on the attack now past him. He goes to the inside in towards turn 10. Can he hold his nerve? Craggy's going to try, but Waitie's going to go for the cutback, and he's going to say, no, sorry, you're not having that position. But he's right on that sandwich now. Waitie's in a Sauber sandwich. The Saubers, I think, are going to try and work together here as they make their way towards turn number 12. Here comes Waitie, and also Craggy defending for his life. Beautiful work from all three of those drivers. And here comes Cashman on the attack now too, Mike.
Yeah, Cashman is going to be getting involved very soon. Senna all over the back of Waitsie as Waitie's trying to find a bit of traction to have a little pop at Craggy into, I believe, turn, well, that's the win corner, turn number 15. But yeah, Waitsie really struggling to find the traction at these corners compared to Craggy and Senna here.
Yep, he is. Maybe he's not getting as used to the wet conditions, but bearing in mind some people had work during the day and the weather wasn't announced until very late on in the day due to the fact that the tiers are on slightly earlier than normal because, of course, we've got the real-life United States Grand Prix this week, and next week we've got Mexico. So, of course, everyone will want to watch the real-life Grand Prix, so that is why we're racing at 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m, which means you will get some lovely lunches as well. We've got lap 3 of 10 now, and we can see Casper all over the back of Nick now. He's going to try and go for the up and over into the S's section. Absolutely beautiful from Casper trying to hold it there, as he is up into 9th place so far, as he's had a bit of a swerve through turn 8 and 9. To be fair, everyone has been drifting around that corner, even in the P2 tier earlier on. So everyone seems to be struggling around there today. It's about who's going to be struggling the least. Malvin is now looking very promising on the back of Arnow. Waitie's got past Senna Senna's been passed by, Waitie's been passed by Senna, up into 5th. We'll see if Malvin could respond to Arnow. No, he can't. Could Waitie respond to Senna? No, he can't either.
Waitie, let's go. Caught a little napping in towards turn 11. Senna down the inside. Waitie did try for a little cutback on him, but just wasn't able to get the traction. So again, alluding to the fact that he's struggling on traction out there. You got Cashman in behind him now, looking for a big lunge down the inside in towards turn 15. Cashman, he's got the traction. Maybe the side by side now coming through the triple left-hander. That's triple right-hander, sorry. That's Cashman all the way around the outside. Cashman pulled that off all the way around the outside from 16, 17 and 18. What a move there from Cashman. He's up in the P6 now, Jess.
Already he's claiming places. That is absolutely incredible from Cashman as well. When you treat it as one corner, and he absolutely nailed it. He's looking to score as many points as he can. But don't forget, the top 10 do get reversed for the main race. So at the moment, he'll be starting 5th in the main race. Will be looking very impressive for him so far. And top 12 in the sprint get points from 12 down to 1. Lukey and Axelot having a bit of fight in towards the SS section as well, with Lukey taking the early advantage there. So he, at the moment, is getting 1 point in the sprint. So it's a battle for the final point between Lukey, Axelot, Barrett and Konzo. So let's see what happens there. Meanwhile, gap at the front. Tony leads by 2.5 seconds over Arnold. He is absolutely on fire at the moment. It doesn't matter what conditions he gets thrown at. He seems to deliver very well, and he likes the wet conditions anyway. But all that draws our attention to is, will he get the pit lap right once we get to the pit stop phase? We'll have to wait and see. Anyone looking dangerously close for a battle? Waitsie and Callum are fighting for position now, but I don't think Callum's going to make a move anytime soon. So there is a train forming, but people just finding their rhythm out there, Mike.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to expect in the early opening laps, and everyone trying to find a rhythm, trying to get accustomed to the track surface and everything. And you're seeing Callum closing right up underneath that rear wing of Waitsie through the traction zones, and a little bit of wheel spin there for Callum. He's got Casper closing in behind as well. And Jess, it has stopped raining on track.
It has stopped raining a lot earlier than the other tiers earlier on, so that's just the beauty of Approximate. They can throw really mysterious things and nice things. So we know from experience from when the drivers did their practice earlier, it dries out very, very quickly indeed. So they've got to find out about the grip. They've got to test the grip levels. And for some people, they have got to pretty much predict Will it be the best time to pit now, or will it be benefit to stay out one more lap? It's really hard to tell around this circuit, so we'll keep an eye on it as it continues as well. We don't get information about, it's going to stop raining in like 5 or so minutes. We don't get that, unfortunately, in the commentary box. We just have to rely on what other people do. Yellow flag, and that is Leroy, who's lost his front wing already. Oh, no, he's not. He's coming out of the pit in towards turn 1, and no, that's definitely the wrong time to come in on the medium tire. Look at how slippery it is in turn number 1 and 2 already.
Yeah, Leroy, obviously knowing that the track does dry out very quickly, wanting to take a risk and see if he can get himself up the order, but yeah, too soon for the dry compound tyres. Maybe a lap or two too soon, I think, for Leroy. However, it could be a situation in a lap or two's time, Jess, where Tony might already be past the pit lane, thinking that it's still going to be, better for the Inders. And you could be seeing the likes of Cashman, Waitsy, Callum, Casper all into the pits on a set of dries, and they could really get the jump on him.
Yes, and we're approaching half-race distance as well, and one lap, it could be damp like this, and then halfway through the next lap, it could be dry. So it's about playing that risk, as we see in Cashman, wanting to take the risk right here and right now. He comes in. I still think it's quite early, but you never know. They're the ones in the cockpit and not us. Ben Harriet also comes into the pits as well. So them two, probably in a party together, I would expect. They're probably reading each other down. Atzlock as well, I think, is going to stay out another lap to help his teammate. I think if Tony comes into the pits, well, I think if I was him, I would come in now. It won't make that much difference. There's a little bit of spray, but I do think it's the right time to come out on a set of these dry tyres, because there's some parts that are drying up quickly than expected. By the way, here's gone one of the Salbers trying to pass Marvin in towards turn number 10. Can he make it stick? Craggy, one of our newest drivers to the league, is definitely making an impression so far. It's just, there's some bits of the track that is dry and some bits are wet, so they got to be a bit wary on when to put the pedal to the metal. And it is just some damp parts, so it may not be right yet for dries, but they just got to just be really calm. They can't put the same amount of throttle as they used to, but Craggy at the moment going to be starting really well. Finishing very well in the sprint race thus far. Tony heading towards turn 15 and 16. He is now the care of the world of what's happening behind him, because he can control this race so far. But Craggy and Senna doing very well. Casper and Callum side by side. Also a bit of contact being made, Mike.
Yeah, just a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between Casper trying to down the inside of Callum. Callum able to hold on, but you saw him getting very loose for the triple right-hander of 16, 17 and 18. And
that is in.
He's in, but look at Cashman. He's still losing time to Mbera.
I think it's still too early to come in. I think next end of this lap potentially, but Nick's in, so is Lukey and Atzlock. Senna is in as well. Oh, I just don't know at this point. I literally don't know. That's the beauty of approximate. You just don't know when the best time is to come in, and not many people have practiced either. As we're seeing Leroy being lapped, so it shows that him pitting when he did was not the right time to come in, unfortunately. But his teammate is judging very well as well. So we'll keep an eye on the likes of Senna and Nick at the moment, because they're the latest to come in, and we'll see if they lose a bit of time or gain a bit of time. They, I think, just gambling, and they think, why not? You can see Senna is finding the S's section still very tricky. Let's watch Nick, because he's the next to take these conditions. He's doing it slightly better than Senna, so this bit of the track might have dried up quicker. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I just don't know at this point. They just got to play it by ear, unfortunately. What would you do? Would you say, oh, Craggy! Craggy's left the session. Oh, that is gutting. Mike, if you could do me a favour and try and invite him to the session. Craggy, if you're watching, add Mike on EA, that'll be lovely. And that means Malvin has overtaken Craggy.
Yeah, Malvin able to get through on Craggy. Unfortunate for the Sauber driver right there. It always happens to one person, doesn't it? It really does, Jess.
Do one of the ones where we get a good-hearted result as well. But Malvin is in. Tony's staying out. I think Tony could potentially still win this race even if he does stay out. But Malvin's going to come out in a very potentially good position. Let's watch in comparison to Senna as he comes out of the final corner. And Barrett stays out too. It's a bit different to what we saw in P2. Oh, Leroy's out of the race. Leroy's out. He's retired. I think he's retired out there on... No, yep, he's retired on the circuit. So that is unfortunate. So, yeah, Malvin's going to come out ahead of Senna. So I think him pitting now is the right call. So the lap we just pitted on, that was the right time to pit. But it might have been a bit too late for them because the ones on Inters, they could try and stretch that gap. But will it be enough? As Nick and Axelot going side by side into the S's section, they're keeping relatively calm at the moment. And we also got the likes of Lukey in this as well. Oh, this is a great fight between these guys. But they don't want to lose too much time because Senna is absolutely loving life on those soft tyres currently with Malvin.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cracky has just sent me a friend request, so I'm able to get that sorted for him and try to get him back into the lobby ASAP.
He's still third at the moment, believe it or not. So let's just hope he stays there for our sake as well, as long as he doesn't lose that much time. DRS enabled, Mike. DRS enabled. So what would you do? I just don't know. It's a kind of like a chicken and an egg situation. If you're like Tony, I would stay out because Tony's pretty much quicker on one lap pace anyway, and he's very consistent. But if you're the likes of Barrett, Entity Conzo territory, surely you must pit because the ones like Senna and Axelot, they're going to be catching up like no tomorrow. I just don't know what to do. But if you're near the top two, I would say I should be absolutely fine. But for everybody else, they're going to be in a spot of bother as Malvin, by the way, is getting past Conzo in the pits. He's up to 9th. Probably for them, it doesn't matter because top 10 will be starting pole anyway.
Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be working for Cracky.
No, he's been
overtaken.
He's been overtaken by Callum. That is gutting. I think he's done most of the race anyway, so he should be still getting those points. Oh, that is heartbreaking for Craggy. I'm absolutely gutted. Gap's increased now, by the way, by 6.3 seconds. But what is the gap now between Tony and Malvin? I don't think it's enough for Malvin to catch up to pretty much 8 cars. He's got to overtake 8 cars. So yeah, I think the top 8 have done the right thing by staying out.
Yeah, and it's one of them ones where obviously, I mean, Craggy, of course, unable to be in control of his car, but you can see just like the AI has decided to stay out as well, so that's showing you that it is more beneficial to stay out on the Inters and pit in for a set of the dry compound tyres. But seeing, it's that's contact between Barrett and Malvin there, and that's a front wing off for someone.
I think it must have been a front wing. They were struggling there. And that's going to lose even more time for Malvin. Oh, no. That's going to be absolutely gutting there. I think Barrett's got a bit of damage there as we're on the final lap of the sprint race. And I think if they just keep squabbling like that, they're going to lose way more time. Oh, my goodness.
Now, here's the only thing that I can think that would stop these guys on the intermediates at the moment, Jess. And that would be if the Inters completely overheat and they get a puncher from it. I think that's the only thing that could stop these guys on the Inters right now.
Yeah, because we do know that for some people that may not have enough experience in these crossover conditions, Senna's left the session as well, but he was 11th anyway, but that's gutting. It's too late for him to get back into the session after this. But I've had experience about the Inters overheating by staying out in any track. It's an absolute nightmare, and you just lose so much more time. But here comes Tony then, heading towards turn 15 and 16. A very smooth motion for the Haas driver. He's played the strategy right today. Staying out was the best option for him. He had the best pace out of all 17 drivers here today. Exits the final few corners in 5th gear in towards the last corner. Here comes Tony. He won last week and he wins the sprint race here today. And he gets fastest lap to boot as well. Arnold, an impressive result from him. He's going to cross the line in P2, but I think he will stay there due to his penalty, but I don't know. We'll see what Callum does. Callum up to the line then. Can he jump up? Arnold? No. So Arnold stays in P2. Casper, what recovery from him to 4th. Waits here. Great result for him in 5th. He drops down to 6th due to his penalty. Craggy in 4th. Wow. So that's good for him. Entity in 7th. Melvin in 8th. Bear in 9th. And yeah, Konzo does get the fastest lap, but it doesn't mean anything. But what a sprint race. And it was all about the strategy. And none of us in the commentary box knew what the right strategy was.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it was always a difficult call for these guys, whether or not to go on the set of the dries or to stick it out on the Indes. But the Indes proved to be the superior choice, and Tony extending his lead at the top of the championship by even more points now.
Yep, he is. He is extending it by quite a bit, and maybe potentially we could have a champion decided at Silverstone if he can keep this up, or maybe even in the round before that. But more than likely Silverstone. But let's go through your sprint results. So Tony, P1, Arnold P2, Callum P3, Craggy P4, Casper P5, Waity P6, Entity P7, Malvin P8, Barrett P9, Konzo P10. Then we've got Senna, Axelot, Nick, Lukey, Cashman, Ben Harriet, and Leroy. But of course, we have 9 drivers taking their engine penalties. So take that with a pinch of salt. I would try and tell you who's going to be starting where, but I have no idea. It's going to be up to the tier coordinators to figure out that one. But whilst the drivers get reset and have a lobby restart, let's reflect on that race. There was quite a lot of action happening at the start, but it got very quiet towards the end, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think that just comes into obviously the track conditions changing. Of course, a lot of the very close battles that we had drivers taking a gamble, going on a set of the dries, and some sticking it out on the Indes. And we saw the gaps begin to form. Of course, at the very beginning, we had incredible battles. I mean, the 2 Saubers going at it, for example. Reminiscent of the 2 Ferraris going at it yesterday in the real life sprint race.
Yeah, they were definitely going at it, and to be honest, they lost a bit of time because of it. But Carlos Sainz, I remember, still finished in P2. I do hope that the 2 Ferraris do well tonight, but again, we have to find out in real life when the race starts at 8 p.m. I think the race starts at 8 p.m. UK, 8 p.m. UK time. Yes, it does. 8 p.m. UK time. I love watching evening races. I really do. I prefer them than the afternoon races because you're having your dinner, you're downstairs as well, you're watching it with the family. It's great. It's just lovely. And we get to do it after this as well. But yeah, it is all good on that front. But many drivers, like Malvin, that took the plunge and went onto the soft, thinking it was the right thing to do. He got caught up in traffic with Barrett as well. But it just shows that it shows the people that have practiced, even the ones that have practiced, can make mistakes as well, because any lobby could be different.
Yeah, absolutely. Any lobby can be different indeed. And I think what's called, obviously we are waiting for the lobby to be restarted. I think the likes of Kajman, Nick and Karagi potentially out there just trying to make sure that they get a little bit extra running in.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think they were meant to do a new lobby, but if they're not, if you can send me an invite, that'll be lovely, because I thought they were doing a new lobby. That's why I left the session, of course. But surely they'll know to send me an invite anyway, so they can do so. So we went through the Drivers' Championship last time up before we had the main race. Let's now go through the Constructors' Championship. Haas leading by quite some margin, 220 points to McLaren's 148. Aston Martin in third on 118 points. Williams in fourth on 110. Mercedes in fifth on 90 points. Alpine in sixth on 89. Kick Sauber in seventh on 63. RB in 8th on 60, Red Bull in 9th on 46, and Ferrari in last on 36 points. So that is your order then. And just looking at the points that all the teams scored, has to be the most consistent and scored between 25 to 30 points every single race. McLaren didn't score as much points compared to them in the last 2 races, but scored a lot in round number 6, so all to play for there in the Constructors. But let's watch for the fight between, again, the likes of Aston Martin, Williams and Mercedes. Those 3 teams, they could be the ones to watch out for, and Alpines could be in the unknown as well.
Yeah, of course, the Alpines picking up 10 points. Last time out, they closed the gap right up on Mercedes. And let's not forget, obviously, Craggy, a very good driver, a very capable driver, and you've seen it in the spring qualifying. And obviously, with Senna now as his teammate, let's not rule Sauber of closing that gap on the guys ahead.
And speaking of Senna, he was actually called to the drivers' press conference in the interim yesterday, and he was asked his main question, with 4 races left in the season, what are your main aims and objectives going to be? How many points do you think you can pick up by the end of the season? And Senna said, thanks a lot for having me in the first place. Very happy to return here. Hopefully able to be competitive soon again. As you said, only 4 races in this season for me, so focus will not all be to score the maximum amount of points. It will be about getting into that rhythm you need to be fighting at the top. Also, a lot of focus will be on getting to know the drivers on the current grid. It's been a while since I've raced any of these amazing drivers, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. As I don't have any reason to be helping anyone on track apart from maybe ERT teammates if they require it, I've arranged with myself that there's no one that can't expect a fight. Hopefully, end of this season, I'll pick up some decent points, but the focus is all on the next season, so that's the time I need to perform. Right now, I'll go have fun. Once again, thanks for having me. So, again, since he's joining midway into the season, his main focus is next season, but for this season, it's just about getting that experience in the top tier.
Yeah, and I think that's the right attitude to come in with. And of course, pretty much Senna sticking true to his word that, if he's side by side with someone, they can all expect a battle. And that was proven almost immediately with his teammate on the opening laps.
Yes, it was. I mean, both the Saubers did an incredible job fighting with each other throughout that sprint race. And I think they're pretty much even on pace. So I'm excited to see if they can do the same for the main race. Kind of replicable, as you were saying earlier, Mike, to the Ferraris in real life, of course. And so I'm excited for how Senna can do in the main one, because he's going to score some decent points, hopefully. So we're looking at the rivalry, Sen, and an interesting rivalry this week between Cashman and Nick. So they were asked, so boys, you're separated by 3 points in the championship. Your pace is very similar and have had your fair share of close battles on track. So who's the better driver? Can your boys keep it clean until the end of the season, battling for supremacy? Or supremacy. So Jake says, of course we can. Me and Nick have been on track many times and never had an issue. Can't imagine anything will start now. May the fastest driver win. And Nick said, Jake and I are the definition of clean. We're basically a sponge and washing up liquid. Speed drivers, on the other hand, winky face. Ooh, so Nick trying to stir up the pot, I see, to any speed drivers in the lobby.
Ooh, that is a very controversial line there from Nick right there, and that might just rile up a few people, especially for any speed fans in the chat.
And I think Tony and Kieran are the only speed drivers there, but I don't think Kieran is here tonight, unfortunately. So I think he's probably only rattling Tony. But again, I think Tony and Nick battle very well and very hard on track anyway, so that shouldn't be battling too much. But I like that drama in the rivalries. That's what the rivalries are meant to be. So that is very, very good indeed. We'll see how that goes for the main race. And a few people will ask quite a few questions in the pre-race interviews and seeing if they're comfortable with their setup. At slot thinks sector 3 is a nightmare. I have to agree with you, that one. Casper thinks either a loose and quick or stable and slow setup wise, which is interesting. Ghost is not that confident, but he's making sure he goes. No, that was from P2. Never mind. Senna says Ko is a tricky track, but pace will get better as the laps goes on. Usually takes about 1 or 2 laps to get used to everything. Tony is confident as always, but again, I like that confidence from Tony. Anyone else in the P1 tier? Malvin saying he has a plan of what he wants to do, but he's not saying that plan. Very cheeky. And he's saying he needs to show Mert that he's good for the team and get those points. And Lukey with his short word answers, feeling good. Are you comfortable with your setup and strategy? Yes. Will you be going all out to get that top result? Yes. Sprint weekend once again. Will you be trying anything different? No. And who is Lukey's main rivals? Everyone. So there we go. Those are some pre-race interviews. Interestingly, for some drivers, Sector 3 is one of the most trickiest parts of the circuit, and I tend to agree with them.
Yeah, I mean, Sector 3 does have its own uniqueness here. Obviously, the turn 13, 14, very easy to lose the traction on the exit of 13 and compromise yourself through 14. Of course, the turn 15 left-hander, very difficult on traction on the exit, and you can lose the back end very easy. And then, of course, you got the triple right-hander, 16, 17, 18. If you are approaching that just a little bit wrong, you can have a little bit of a back end stepping out on you, especially if your setup is not accustomed to that corner. And then, of course, turn 19, and that very easy to take too much that inside curb and lose the car, and very easy just to drift out too far wide on the exit and pick up an invalidation or warning. So definitely Sector 1 is one, Sector 3 is one to keep an eye out on, that is for sure. And I'm not gonna lie, Jess, I am honestly looking at Lukey's answers and in the pre-race interviews. It seems like he was channeling his inner Kimi Räikkönen right there.
Yeah, you're right. He's like, bruh. And don't forget, Kimi Räikkönen in real life won here back in 2018? I think it was the year anyway. 2018 was the year. The first race in COTA, by the way, was back in 2012. And 28 laps await our drivers, 2 DRS zones, 20 corners, 11 to the left, 9 to the right, and the track is 5.513 kilometers long. A track designed by Herman Tilke himself as well, a track which is custom for really high downforce, not as much downforce as other tracks, but we will expect to see people, especially with the adaptive weather system being light cloud for the entirety of the race. We will expect to see, I think, quite a few people trying to go for moves on around about the turn 12 area as well. Lewis Hamilton being one of the most successful drivers in COTA. Of course, his records came to an end last night with him not making it through into Q2. He got knocked out in Q1. I still don't know if he's going to be starting at the back at the moment. I want to be shading his setup a little bit. We have to wait and see. No American driver has won the United States Grand Prix at all. And Lando Norris was one of the first drivers outside of the Mercedes Red Bull era to win it, to get a pole in COTA. So those are the facts there. And of course, we've had Brendan, who won last time out as well in COTA. So those were some interesting stats there. I'm seeing if the grid is ready yet. The grid is not ready yet. So let's put Mike on the spot. We'll get your top 3 from you. Who do you think it will be your top 3 for the main race? Of course, we don't know how the penalties are going to come to effect, but who do you expect to see do well here tonight, your top 3?
Well, I think there's no surprise now, like Tony for the win. He just looked absolutely fantastic, not only in qualifying, but in the sprint race as well. Tony for the win. And honestly, Craggy's pace was good. So I actually backed Craggy for a podium.
Craggy's got an engine penalty.
P2. Doesn't mean he can't come for the field. 9 other drivers also have a engine penalty.
That is true. That is true. He climbed his way through the field in sprint race. So yeah, I can't complain with that.
And the 3rd spot. Now this is where it's tricky.
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting.
Because Casper's coming in incredible form.
And he doesn't have an engine penalty either.
Yeah, and he was making his way through the field as well. So was Callum and Armed as well. Both of those two were making their way swiftly through the field.
So do you think Casper P3?
Potentially, and you also got Arnold there as well, and Arnold looked very well.
He looked very impressive, Arnold, because he was managing to hold his strategy quite nicely.
I'm gonna go Arnold.
You're gonna go with Arnold P3. Yeah. Right, we do have our grid. So, and luckily Lukey has just sent us the grid. So we'll run through your order from first to last with all the engine penalties taken into account. Are you all ready? So, Entity will be starting this race from pole position with Waitsy alongside. Then we got Casper in third, Callum Unarmed in fourth. Tony will be starting in fifth, Atslock sixth, Cashman in seventh, Ben Harriet in eighth, Conto in ninth. Barrett rounds up your top 10. Then we have Malvin, Craggy, Arnold, Senna, Nick, Lukey, and Leroy makes your grid for today's race with the engine penalties taken to account. Entity starting near the front. That is going to be interesting, of course. And Casper, one of your picks, starting in P3, and he usually goes well with Chatsford High Downforce. So, with me seeing the grid, I'm going to go with Casper Tony, and I'm going to be bold. I'm going to go with Jake, Cashman, P3.
I feel like this is an unfair advantage. You
can retract your prediction, and you can say your prediction again.
No. I'm going to stick true to my prediction.
You're going to stay true to your prediction. Okay. It's not my fault that Lukey just announced the grid just now after you said your predictions. And by the way, if you are watching, if you're on the P1 tier, remember your setups, please, when you load into the lobby, because otherwise you're going to be in a spot of bother. So setups. We don't want anybody with default setups, ladies and gentlemen. No, because default setups around Austin, Texas is absolutely rubbish. So we're just waiting for everyone to ready up. But we may as well go through our sponsors before we start the main race, because we've got 2 minutes until the formation lap. So first of all, Next Level Racing, providing prizes worth over £2,000, and these are the prizes that you could win potentially as a driver. Of course, also our sponsor Pure Sim Gear, the driver with the most fastest laps and poles combined will win a pair of Pure Sim Gear gloves or socks. Next to our partners Vespertine, who are supporting our championship apparel, and if you're the winner of the Going Gets Tough award, you win the Race the Dream t-shirt. If you want to win the Going Gets Tough award, you've got to be finishing outside the top 3, complete all your media day interviews, and pretty much attend every race. And the winner of the One Hub Racing Driver Rankings rings a Vespertine shirt as well, just an ordinary One Hub Racing t-shirt. And we also got our partners at SimGrid that do our standings and provide our community for us to sign up. So thank you very much to SimGrid. And finally, Mental Health Foundation. It is good to talk, especially during times like this. So I would highly recommend, if you are struggling right now, especially with the clocks going back very, very soon, we would recommend you approach a charity like Mental Health. They do stellar work as well for the community. So that's a work for our sponsors then. And now the drivers have loaded into the session. We can get a sneak peek on strategy. Of course, we won't get to see the tyres at some point. I do see one driver going on to the hard compound tyres. I'm not going to say whom. I'm not going to reveal it to all our drivers because it's going to be a little bit unfair. But I've done a race around here as well. The hards are a pretty decent tyre around here. So are the mediums. But from experience from some other drivers in the lobby, the softs can only last 3-4 laps. So unless we get a late safety car or an early safety car, avoid the softs at all costs. What do you think?
Yeah, the soft tyres are definitely not the tyres to be on, that is for sure. They're not a very good race tyre at all, so I'm expecting a hard-medium strategy or a medium-hard strategy to start off with, and then obviously another set of mediums. But yeah, the soft tyres I don't think are going to be used at all in tonight's racing. And you mentioned about setups and everything earlier. One person that wasn't able to put his setup on was Leroy, which would explain why he was struggling so much in the sprint race.
Oh yes, he did, didn't he? I'm looking at the P1 chat now, and he was like, "Oh no!" But to be fair, there were a few eager beavers that were keen to ready up, but didn't take into account that people still have to load their setups. But luckily, everyone was being good boys here, and were able to wait for everyone to load their setup. So we're on the grid now. Let's go talk you through the tyre strategy for all our drivers. We only have a few anomalies. Cam Unarmed going on to the soft tyres. We also got Arnold on the hards. And we got Senna. Hang on. Where are you, Senna? There you are. So Senna and Arnold are going different. Senna going on the softs. Everyone else going on the medium. So Callum and Senna, definitely the outliers. But for Arnold, That's very bold, him going on the hards this early on in the race.
Yeah, and I don't know if you clocked as well, Jess, but obviously with the hard tires that you did see in the pit lane, that was in Leroy's garage as well. So Leroy absolutely done us over there, 'cause we thought he would be starting on hards. He's on a set of mediums.
There we go. So, yeah, both the Red Bulls baited us as well. Very clever Red Bull. But you guys didn't see it on the stream. That's why I didn't say who. So don't you worry. You're all good. And so they're all heating their tyres now to the good operating window. Everyone's breathing quite frantically, to be fair, as well. You don't want to go too fast around here because you could be in a spot of bother as well. Safety cars. How highly do you think we'll get a safety car here? I think if we were to get a safety car, I think we would only get one or none at all. I don't think we'll get too much around here. What do you think?
I think we're going to get... I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to say we're going to get 2 safety cars.
2 safety cars. Ooh. I'm going to say 1. Get your predictions in chat. It'll be interesting for you to tell us on how many safety cars you think they would get. And by the way, guys, we're almost on 400 followers on Twitch. So if you haven't already, if you're watching this back on YouTube, or if you're watching it live now and you haven't done so, please follow us on Twitch. The 400 follower will get brownies and cookies from me. Joking, of course. But you would get a nice shout out from me on a future stream. So there we go. So one Hubby's catching Mike. Yes. How many followers are you on, Mike?
450.
450. Ooh. To be fair, I haven't streamed on Twitch for ages. I'm surprised my followers have not gone down. But there we go. So we're about to get going as Leroy trying to go as late as possible so he can have warm tyres as possible. So we'll see what happens there. So here we go then. For the second time tonight, the 5 red lights are about to come up on your screen. 3, 4, 5 red lights. Entity on the right, Waitsy on the left, and it is time to rock and roll here at Kota. Entity gets a really good start over Waitsy. Casper follows him through 2, in towards turn number 1. Both of them banging wheels, a bit of contact from the pair of them as Waitsy's dropped way down the order. Entity and Callum side by side in towards turn number 2, in towards the Mickey Mouse section they go through now. Casper still third. He didn't want to get involved in that. Fair play to him. He wanted to play it safe. He didn't want any damage at all. But Callum needs to get a move on those soft tyres. Malvin and Craggy, just like they were in the sprint race, they're going side by side towards turn 7, 8 and 9 now as well. Both the Salvers going side by side as well, which is really great stuff. But already damage on the opening lap for some drivers, as we can see Lukey going side by side with Malvin, as well as one of the Salvers having a bit of an off, it seems like. But most drivers keep it relatively clean out there.
Oh, so you've got Casper and Callum side by side. Look at Axlock, going to make a free wide into turn 12 here, Jess. As Axlock down the inside of the pyramid, he's going to be able to pull this off. A little bit of contact made on the apex of the corner. Callum's able to hold on position, but they're still free wide.
Yeah, they're still free wide going through 13 and 14. How are they going to go through this unscathed? You can see Casper trying to get the outs. No, Tony's trying to get the outside line. Tony's already up into 4th place. It shows how quick of a driver he is. Tony in towards turn 16 and 17 gets past Casper, his teammate, and up into 3rd already. He is a machine right now. Jake has had a good start as well, up into 6th place. So he's going to try and climb his way through the field as well. Look at all this battling going on as well. This huge train coming up. And Entity's going to try and do all he can to keep all 17 cars behind them. Here comes Casper trying to get past his teammate. So it's Axlock as well, trying to get past Casper in towards turn 1. Down the hill they go. In towards the exit section once again. No luck for Axlock, unfortunately, but good luck for Casper.
Yeah, absolutely. As Axlock there tried to lunge down the inside, unable to pull it off, and losing a bit of time now in the first sector to Casper. He's closing back up towards his teammate Cashman in behind. Senna is right on the back of Cashman on the set of those soft tyres, and he's got Cracky in behind for tow as well, as Ben picks up the first 3-second time penalty of the evening. Tony's through up into P2, and Senna, oh, big lock up at the rear tyres into turn 11 as he tried to look down the inside of Cashman, locks up the rears and loses a spot to his teammate.
Yep, he loses a spot to his teammate, unfortunately, but they still got a lot of work to do. 28 laps await our drivers. We've already done 2 of them, and you can see one of the Haas is making a dive bomb on Callum unarmed in towards turn 12, and that was absolutely well timed from Casper up into 3rd place right now in the podium spot, and now chasing down Tony for Peter on the road. You can see one of these Albers trying to make a huge dive bomb on Cashman in towards turn 15 and 16. No love for him as well. He goes on top of Jake, so I don't know what's happened there. Might be a few internet issues, unfortunately, for Craggy. I'm not entirely sure. Looking down the inside of Ben Harriet in towards the final few corners, but Ben trying to hold his line. We also got Callum into the pits. That's early. Oh, look at that. Cashman spun. That's very frustrating for Cashman.
Yeah, heartbreak there for Cashman as he drops down to P8, and we did just see Callum Anand coming into the pits to get off those soft tyres. Malvin also into the pits as well. He's going for a front wing change, I believe, maybe early contact in there for him. And both of them opting for a set of the hard compound tyres now, Jess.
Yep, hard compound tyres, and speaking from experience, they do last a long time around here, so a very smart move from the likes of Callum and Malvin. Of course, Arnaud starting on the hard tyres. Not gone well for him, unfortunately, so he's got a lot of work to do there. Tony already right on the back of Entity. It means pretty much he means business here around Kota. He's going to try and go for the move before the braking zone. He's using his ERS. He's got plenty of ERS, and he's got DRS too. Tony takes the lead of the United States Grand Prix, and Casper's trying to do the same thing, and that was really controlled from Casper on the brakes up to 2nd, and just like in real life, just like last week in Portugal, we've got Haas 1-2.
Yep, Casper and Tony can now control this race, and we know how these Haas teammates work together. They are able to control a race amongst some of the best I've ever seen in terms of controlling the races between the pair of them. And Tony now has his teammate in behind him, his rear gunner in behind him, and this is absolutely huge, not only for Haas in terms of Constructors' Championship, but for Tony in terms of the drivers.
Yep, indeed, because it does mean if you keep getting good results and keep getting consistent results like that, that means it will help you in terms of when the championship's going to be decided. I'm almost certain that the Constructors are going to be decided first, so potentially that could be decided next week. Arnaud, by the way, gets past his teammate of Leroy up to P14. Let's hope Leroy has remembered his setup, because otherwise he's going to be in a spot of bottom. That would have been a huge issue for him. NC has dropped down to 3rd, but look at Axelot. Axelot is hunting down Entity. Axelot wants that podium, and so is Craggy. Craggy's going to work well as well. Nick doing very decent as well in 6th place, so he's gained quite a few places too off that start. I'm interested to see how he climbed that up as well, but he avoided that contact from quite a few drivers actually, like a madman. But here we go. We're going to see Entity versus Craggy. And here we go. We also got Axelot as well, right in the middle of this. And now Axelot has planted his car in all the right places. But we can see Craggy going to try and go around the outside potentially. Oh, that was really that was contact there. And Entity had pretty much. Oh, that was close through 15 and 16 as well.
Craggy there tapping the back of Axelot there in towards turn 13. Not ideal for the Sauber. But honestly, he's showing his pace right now, is Craggy, and I think it's a matter of time before he gets through on the likes of Entity and Axelot here.
Yeah, indeed, and Axelot's just going to be praying that those two have been a mare at the moment. But speaking of Craggy's teammate, Senna has come in, so as wait, I won't be surprised if they've gone to a set of the hard tyres. Entity's trying to defend from the outside. Craggy goes to the inside line through turn number 2. Still quite close to each other, banging wheels. No damage there, but it's so hard to be so precise in the attitude. If you're not precise, then you're going to be in a spot of bother. For those two, just hold their nerve very nicely as well. Expect the medium runners to come in if they want to go on to a set of the mediums. Expect them to come in, I think, about 3-4 laps time for another set of the mediums, or maybe a set of the hards. Yellow flag. That is one of the Red Bulls, and that is Leroy that's had a spin.
And Ben's gone off as well.
Oh, yes, Ben Harriet as well. He's dropped a few positions. That's not good for him right now. Meanwhile, the two Hasses still working together with a bit of DRS to make sure no one has a sniff behind, which is really, really great to see.
Now, Here's the question, obviously. If the Haas's remain this close to the rest of the race, does Casper bend the knee to Tony late into this race? Because obviously Casper is P2 in the championship right now.
Yeah, because
While
he's
there
still
is a
fighting for the
sizable gap,
championship. Casper's still fighting
yeah,
for the championship. It's not like you're going to play the wingman. Oh. That a really
we're
hard
trying.
decision. If I was Haas right now. But surely you would think about what is best for yourself. But in real life, the team would probably want to do what's best for the team. So it's a nail on a coffin for these two, because yes, Tony wants to win the title and have help from his teammate, but Casper has a greater chance than anything to claim this P1 title. Casper's got 2 wins recently. Tony's on a mad one with wins too, but we've got a yellow flag again. That's one of the Red Bulls. That's Leroy. Leroy's just not having a good time, unfortunately. But let's draw our attention to Entity, who has got Craggy for good company, and Axelot. They've been going at it for the entirety of the race so far.
Yeah, and I think Craggy close enough to the back of Axlock that with DRS he should be able to get this done in towards turn 12. And maybe Entity will follow him through as well. We're going to have to wait and see as we come on to the long straight out of turn 11. DRS about to be deployed for Craggy and Entity. And here they come closing in on the McLaren now. And the battle for the podium, the final podium position will begin as Craggy's going to look to the outside. And is he going to be able to pull this off? He tries to outbrake the McLaren, tries to hold it all the way around the outside. He'll have the inside for turn 13 here. And he's a little bit of contact.
Oh
and
my
a
goodness!
little bit of a back end loss as they make contact through 13. But Craggy holding on to P3. Entity trying all the way around the outside of Axlock. Axlock on the inside of Craggy here. And Entity looking for the better traction. He's on the inside into the triple right, and the contact made between the pair of them. But fortunately, no one has lost out massively there. But my God, very close battling going on between these 3 drivers, Jess.
Yeah, very close battle between these 3, and they're losing a lot of time to the cars in front, but surely they don't care. They just want to have a bit of fun. Tony, by the way, goes in into the pit lane for his first stop. Axelot wants to make sure that he has clear air as he possibly can, because Axelot is another still contender for this championship. So he's got to get a move on and try and get past these 2 drivers once again. And yes, it's in towards turn 3, and he just about holds on. Craggy, I think, one of the stars of the show so far. Despite him getting disconnected towards the end of the sprint, he's doing really well. Touch wood. Let's hope he does well here tonight as well. And because of all this squabbling, look who's come to join the party. Mr. Big Boss himself, Nick Egan.
Yeah, and another one who is in the championship fight, Lukey as well, just holding on to the back, and Nick's DRS here, also coming into this fight.
Yes, who could forget Lukey in the background as well in that Aston Martin. So I think if I was NC and Craggy, I would get a move on, because I'm surely the likes of Nick, Lukey and Axelot would want to get the move done ASAP. Here comes Nick, by the way, to the inside of Axelot in towards turn 12. Very deep, but he's just kept his line beautiful. But Axelot had the better traction through 13 and 14. Now in towards turn 15 and 16, he's got to take the left-hand side line through there. Here he comes. There comes Nick up to 4th.
Yeah, brilliant stuff here from Nick, and I know what Colin will be looking on in the chat right now, saying that's my teammate right there, that's my teammate. Getting the move done as he moves up into P4. Casper into the pits now, as is Axlock, and Lukey follows in as well.
Sorry for not listening now. I've just been told I'm getting fish and chips later whilst we're watching the Grand Prix. Literally, my mum was holding a message saying, "Do you want fish and chips tonight?" I was like, "Oh, BSC!"
BSC. That is fantastic for the likes of Casper, Axlock, and Lukey here, because they've only just come into the pits.
They just pitted, yeah.
They are going to get the benefit of this VSC to the maximum. Tony is going to come out ahead of them, but Casper,
the
not too
gap's still
far
round.
behind.
The gap's still round about the same. But Lukey is ahead of Senna. So the ones who pitted a lap before, they've been compromised because of it. Now, what caused that VSC? That might be Leroy again, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that. No safety car though, because we don't see a yellow dot. Interesting. Now, when is that VSC going to come in? Don't forget, they've got to keep their speeds to a minimum, because if they don't, they will get a drive-through penalty, which, to be fair, in real life is only a 5-10 second penalty, not a drive-through. Okay, make it relevant to real life, for goodness sake. But I think if I were the ones on the mediums, I would come in now. Because otherwise you're going to lose so much time to the ones who just pitted before you. And knowing what Nick said to me earlier, undercut is powerful. And they haven't come in. So, as Leroy has retired from the race, unfortunately. Understandable, DRS enabled, no one's got that drive through, and the top three are still winning DRS of each other.
Yeah, and we should be seeing them jump into the pits now because they can't risk staying out any longer. And no, Cracky's going to stay out, Entity's going to stay out, Nick's going to stay out, Cashman stays out, Konzo is going to dive into the pit lane. Arnold is staying out as you would expect, and Bretta now has Tony and not too far behind him, Casper, all over the back of him now. As Tony within DRS range of Bretta now for P6. Entity still holding on to Cracky. Cracky in the race lead as we are on lap 9 of 28. We've had several drivers making their first pit stops of the evening. We are still waiting on the top 6 now. The top 5 plus Brera to make their first pit stops. Brera's just been overtaken by Tony. Tony now released in a bit of a clean air so we can go chasing after Arnold in this race now.
Yes.
2 seconds, the gap up the road to Arnold.
Here comes Casper. Casper trying to go for the move now, and Barrett doing exactly the same to Tony. He doesn't want to lose enough time to Barrett at the moment, and Casper is now through. Entity, by the way, is past Craggy up into second place on the road thus far as we're about to start lap 10 very, very soon. By the way, if you haven't already, make sure you leave us a like and hit that notification bell if you are new. Colin in the chat saying, go on, Nick lad, with a love heart. So, Cole, if Nick doesn't do well, you could blame it on Cole. So there we go.
I might be alluding to...
sorry, Carl. Sorry, Carl.
That might be alluding to what I said earlier. That Colin will be there in the chat saying, go on, Nick lad, as he made that overtake on...
Yeah.
I think it was Entity. But,
that is true. And speaking of Nick, he's came in, so is Entity.
Yep, both in. Cracky and Cashman stay out now. Obviously, looking at the strategy by here for Cracky and Cashman, they stayed out relatively long on these mediums, whilst everyone is getting a good undercut on them in behind. When it comes to this second pit stop phase, are you predicting a set of sauce for that, or are you thinking that they want the fresher mediums at the end?
I would go for mediums if you're on hards now, because the mediums, they have proven to go quite a bit of a distance, and for majority of drivers, they seem to handle the mediums very well. So maybe they're going to stretch out the hards along to around about lap 21, 22. And then come and set on the mediums in the end. And then if we get a late safety car, at least they've got some mediums to play with and a set of soft. So at least it keeps their options open. And speaking of options, Tony wants to make sure that he keeps his options wide open for the win, as Tony is up into third spot at the moment, for him making his 1 pit stop. Let's keep an eye on the stops, by the way. There are 4 drivers that are yet to stop, and Tony is the lead runner. So Tony's in that P1, followed by Casper. Lukey down the inside of Axelot, getting past him up into 7th on the road. So did Senna on Nick. And actually, no, Nick has got past Entity. There we go. So Nick with the fresher rubber, being able to get past.
And one down the inside of Axelot. And
they're losing enough time. They're losing quite a bit of time there. Cracky comes in.
Yeah, and that was a very late lunge from Senna to try it on the inside of Axelot. And of course, remember, Lukey and Axelot are battling for position in the championship as well.
Yeah, they are. Lukey and Axelot pretty much in the top 4 of the Drivers' Championship. And they've been the ones that are quite consistent in some races. But there's some races that have fallen a little bit short. So they really can't afford to squabble too much. Craggy is coming out within this fight. He just comes out ahead of Nick.
Yeah, and with Craggy on several laps fresher tyres, and these guys battling with the extent that they are, Craggy's going to breeze up to the back of them, and you've got to think that Craggy, with the pace he's shown so far, he's going to have the ability to get through him, but he does have his teammate in front of him, and his teammate is going to show no quarter even to himself. Like, Craggy is going to have to fight his teammate. That is something that we have seen so far, as we got Brennan now holding up a big old train down in towards turn 12.
Yeah, Barrett is the truly train. Tony just got past Cashman, by the way, for the lead, but Cashman has yet to stop. So this is for position on the track, but not a net position, of course. As we got Axelot. Arnold's left the session, which is annoying, but he was further down anyway. As Senna down the inside of Bear, up to 7th. Axelot up to 6th. Lukey's pulling away because of this. He's thinking, if you guys keep fighting, that'll be fine for me because I can close it in on the rest of the field because clear air is very, very crucial around here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to make sure I can get on the back in ESA.
He's on PS, so he should be able to go in through the group invite. So he should be fine. But Arnold, if you're watching and if you need an invite, let Mike know. Thank you very much.
Yep. Senna gets through on Brenner and Brenner into the pits now. So the only 2 drivers yet to make a pit stop, Cashman and Arnold. Of course, Arnold needs to rejoin the session, so he has control of his car, but he's just going to lose time hand over fist as he's been overtaken by Casper. And you got Lukey, Axlock, Senna, and Craggy Nick and Entity going to be closing in rapidly.
Oh, Casper, this is one of our first few penalties. Weighty getting one as well. Boom, boom, you get a penalty, it looks like, as well. That is a huge shame. If we get a late safety car towards the end of the Grand Prix, that could really cost you in terms of position. So getting penalties around here is not ideal as well. And if you're on 2 warnings, you really got to put the hammer down and make sure you avoid getting any more warnings because the penalty could be coming your way. Well, order. At this point of the race, Tony leads from Cashman, Casper, Arnold, Lukey, Axelot, Senna, Craggy, Nick, an entity, your top 10. But bearing in mind, 2 drivers yet to make their first stop. Axelot wheeling down Lukey very, very slowly indeed. And that's going to be a really interesting fight coming up here in these next couple of laps. It's about who could save their tyres effectively, who's got the right setup as well. Can they make their hards last for the majority of the race? Will there be people very brave going on the soft tyres towards the end? Well, they do have that flexibility to do so. Cashman, by the way, is in. I wonder what tyres he's going to go on. I wonder if he's going to do a medium soft strategy with the way he was able to get those mediums for 12 laps.
Yeah, I think oh no, he's on a set hard. So
okay, he's proved us wrong right there.
Yeah, maybe what he's no,
out! Oh, did he retire in the pit? No, he's retired in the pit lane, right? Let me just see. Where is he? I don't know.
On the exit of turn 1.
Exit turn 1. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. He exited turn 1 and 2. Why no safety car? Did he just retire on the exit of the pit lane and the AI just retired it? That's probably why. That's what got me confused. So no safety car then. We thought we were going to get one. And that would have helped no one because the mediums can't get to the end of the Grand Prix. Probably Tony because Tony could get me to the end anyway. As we'll see more penalties, unsurprisingly. As Arnold's just joined the session, luckily.
I mean, he's joined the session, but
he's not going to make inroads because he's out. So that is unfortunate. So probably the game retired him, which is very annoying when he disconnected. A lovely feature that the game has put into F1 24. Yeah, lovely feature.
Absolutely. Now, here we go. Now, just an interesting battle beginning to brew. And Craggy has got into the back of Senna now, and we saw these two battling tooth and nail in the sprint race. They're going to come up against each other again. Craggy does have the superior tyres in terms of the tyre life, but he has Nick and Entity in behind him. Will Senna work with his teammate, or will he get his elbows out? That's going to be the question.
I don't know. I think we know with the sprint race in real life, we saw the Ferraris go tooth and nail, and they lost a bit of time. But it depends where they want to go in the championship. Those two have joined mid-season, so they just want to pretty much have some fun. So potentially, I would like to go tooth and nail into this, but you're wanting to prove yourself worthy of a lot of places because you want to be in P1 next season, you want to gain some experience now, and you want to tell the tier right, I am a quick driver and I want to do well. And here comes Senna, by the way, trying to make his way past Craggy into P5. Nick in as well. Nick trying to go for a send in turn 12. Slight contact there, but no harm done, it looks like. Nick up to 6th.
Yeah, Nick up to 6th. Senna losing out on 2 positions from P5 down to P7 now, as he's got Entity on the back of him, so he'll have his own issues in behind now. Konzo around 3.7 seconds back off those 2, so we'll see how much time they lose at the beginning of the battle to Konzo. Craggy, though, has been released, and in terms of pace, I think Craggy's got the pace to kind of close up to the likes of Lukey and Axlock here. So we could still be seeing Craggy in the battle for the podium, despite how long he made his first stint on the mediums last.
I've just been told in the chat, by the way, it was the rejoin glitch that I thought about. So as soon as you disconnect, then it retires you when you rejoin. That is frustrating. But at least Arnell scored some points in the sprint, but you would have wanted to score points in every race. So that is a bit of a shame. But we're down to 15 runners, and still lots of things that could go right for some drivers, and still things that could go wrong. Everyone, I believe, has done their first stop, and they'll be making their 2 stops momentarily in about 5 laps time, because no one is on the mediums. And we'll see if anyone has done their second stop yet. No. Barrett, I would expect to be the one pitting quite early on onto a set of the hard compounder tyres. Everyone else will try and stretch it out a bit more. By the way, Entity and Senna fighting tooth and nail. Entity's through on Senna, but Senna tries to go for the cut back. He's going deep, a huge send, which could either work well or not. Senna still is in 7th.
Yeah, a big send back down the inside from Senna on Entity. You've seen Entity now take a very wide line as he tries to look for the better exit, gets immediately cut off there from Senna. Senna placing his car exactly where he needs to block that off, but Entity, and you're seeing the gap begin to form between Senna and Nick here. Entity's lost out massively by being stuck behind Senna.
Yeah, they're losing so much time to the likes of Nick, and the fact that they were in that train earlier on, and because of that squabbling, they're no longer in that train. They got to work together here. They can't keep fighting like this. They can keep fighting towards the end, of course, but that's where they're going to lose a lot of time. Lukey and Axlock, on the other hand, they're losing time to the top 2, but they don't care. Everyone else around them is fighting for position, so at least they have an excuse to fight. Waity, by the way, gets past Callum up to 10th spot.
Yeah, and just a reminder of how much time they did lose battling each other. Konzo is now just about in that 3-second window. In fact, make that 6 seconds now as Senna's picked up another 3-second time penalty. I was about to say Konzo gained a second with those 2 battling each other, so that just shows how much time they lost battling out in that final sector.
Yep, that final sector, like I was saying, can cost you, of course, as Axlock is past Lukey up to 3rd.
And Craggy got that gap down now to 1.2. The battle for the podium is heating up.
Senna and Entity fighting once again. Can Senna get the car stopped in time through 13 and 14? Just about leaving each other in 15 and 16. Senna struggling now. He's lost a lot of time. Konzo could catch up like no tomorrow here, and Senna is already a second behind them. So that's really unfortunate from Senna, but that just shows that if you fight too much, you're going to lose quite a bit of dirty air. So Senna has got to get a move on. He was very lucky that he was able to get the time as he did, and Senna's just done the right thing and gone into the pits.
Yeah, she got Waity and Carmen Armday battling out for P10 in this race. And one thing I wanted to say as well, Jess, Craggy, he's just outside DRS range on Lukey and Axlock.
Oh.
And remember, Casper has a time penalty to his name already. Craggy does not. We've seen Craggy's pace. If Craggy's able to get past Axlock and Lukey, and then make that perfect pit stop for his final stop, he could be putting Casper under pressure for that P2 finish.
Yep, he could. Casper could be the one that could be on the downfall, but I think he's doing all right so far, as long as he doesn't get another penalty. Axelot does not want to get another penalty either. So it's just about some of these guys keeping it clean. But Malvin, as I said that, has got a 3-second penalty. Senna is on 16 seconds. I think he must have got one for speeding in the pit lane, I think. He must have. So, yeah, that's unfortunate for them. let's keep an eye on people's ERS usage out of the ones that are battling. Craggy, by the way, is on 40%. Lukey is on the most out of anyone. Lukey's on 68, and he's using none going through the braking zones, and that's locked on 63 as well. So if I was a betting man, Craggy's going to be the one that's struggling the most here because he's got the least ERS to use. So he's got to be saving quite a bit and not using too much too quickly. He's in that DRS train though, so he's able to try and go and get some moves. But again, they're losing time to the cars in front, which is not ideal. But again, they're fighting for a podium, so they can't afford to make too many mistakes.
I mean, not just that. I mean, Cracky does have the fresher tyres, so that'll help him out in terms of the grip and being able to save a bit more battery. You gotta remember as well, he was trying to get within this train, so he had to use a bit of battery to get in it. Now he's in it, he can save up a bit, use the freshness of his tyres, and get these moves done. As you can just see in the first sector, just how much more grip he's got on the S's. As we come up the hill through 8 and 9, as we come through left under turn number 10 in towards turn number 11, is Cracky going to be thinking about an overtake into 12 on Lukey here?
We're going to have to wait and see. DRS is enabled. Anything can happen in this final phase of this race. Welcome to those of you that have just joined us. Welcome to One Hub Racing. Craggy trying to attack for his life. Lukey trying to defend for his life through turn number 12. And the answer is Craggy's going to try for his life, and he does get the move done. Beautiful stuff. If I was Lukey, try and go for a line that Craggy normally does and throw him off, I would say, as he almost got past there, but heading towards turn 15 and 16 now. They're still winning that train, and they're keeping it relatively clean so far. I think one of them maybe could go into the pits now and try and get that undercut and try and get that clean air if I was one of these drivers.
Yep,
and
Lukey's in.
Lukey's in. It's like he's listening to me.
Yeah, what I was going to say as well, that's not necessarily a bad thing for Lukey. Craggy did overtake him, because with Craggy's pace, he could potentially drag the likes of Axlock and Lukey up towards Casper, but the undercut, as we already discussed earlier, very powerful around here. So Lukey and Nick are going to gain massively on this undercut by here.
Right, so everyone is coming out of the pits. The few drivers that have gone out, I think it was Malvin that came in as well. And
Nick.
Oh, it was Nick that came. There was Nick that came in. Never mind. So Nick's coming to the pits. Oh, let me just get the penalties up. There we go. I've got the tyres now. So Lukey and Nick on medium. So is Senna. They both got ahead of Senna actually, which shows how hard Senna was fighting earlier on as well. So that's cost him a little bit as well. And I think everyone's going to go onto the mediums, as Nick does get past Wacy up to 10th place. He wants to get past the ones who's still yet to stop ASAP, because otherwise a lot of time's going to be lost between these two. As we approach the final, I would say 10 laps of this one. Lukey trying his best to get past Nick's teammate of Malvin, and he does so. And Nick's going to try and do the same, it looks like, in towards turn 12. Surely there's going to be no contest there. Nick to the inside of his teammate and up into 9th place.
And you got Konzo on the back of Entity here for P5, and of course Craggy has managed to get through an Axlock, and he's brought down the gap. Casper's in, and Craggy's going to follow suit as well, so there will be a battle. The gap with that 3-second time penalty on Casper was 1.3 seconds, Jess.
That is absolutely massive, and that's how much time they lost, of course. But we got pitters. We got pitters at the front. We got Casper in, Craggy in, Axlock in, Entity in. Let's see if the undercut has worked wonders here in Kota here today. And we're going to see what happens here. It's going to be quite close, actually, between these lot. As Lukey just about gets ahead of Axlock, Craggy timed that stop to perfection. His in lap before his pit stop was perfect, and that's going to help him really well here. And he's on for net P3, is Craggy.
Yep, he's on for a net P3, possibly a net P2 with that time penalty looming over Casper's head. One thing I will say, obviously for Lukey in terms of his undercut, he got held up quite considerably in the first sector by Malvin. So you would think that clear air as Craggy tries to go around the outside. Cashman, that's allowed Lukey to go straight through.
That was commentator's curse right there. That was annoying. As we got a free wide battle in towards turn 12. Lukey is going to defend like crazy here, and Craggy's going to have to switch back on dreams here. Is he going to have to do a double overtake? He's going to try at least. He's got past one driver. Let's see if he can get past Lukey. It's going to be very tricky if he can do so, but Axelot is giving him no contest so far. Axelot does not want Craggy to be passed, but Craggy is passed. I have to say, one of my favourite battles so far. Tony, by the way, is in.
Yeah, Tony in, Konzo in. What I was going to say, obviously, Jess, in terms of like Lukey, when he went for his undercut, he got held up massively by Malvin in that first sector, which is why he didn't get the jump on these guys. But he is ahead now. Konzo on the set of the soft tires, and now we're going to see what is going to happen between Tony's going to do a set of hards.
My first question is why did he do two mediums?
No, he did medium hard, and he's on another set of hards.
So he probably thinks that the harder option was the best option. But if I were any of these drivers, the mediums work very well, or it may just be personal preference. This is going to make a very interesting ending coming into this. The race win battle may not be over yet, which is very, very exciting, but you never know. Casper with that penalty, maybe Tony just wants to play it safe, or maybe just a personal preference.
Maybe. I mean, the gap between Lukey and Tony is around 8 seconds, so we're going to have to monitor this, because at this stage, if Cracky and Lukey use their mediums and they have the pace that we think that they have, they can maybe close up on only Casper for to get a jump into P2.
Nick to the inside of Senna, through into 6th place.
And he comes Senna back on the inside.
Oh, beautiful from Senna.
Oh,
and
split back.
Beautiful from Nick. Can make it stick through turn 16. Through the Istanbul Park section. They're still going side by side in towards the final few corners. Just about leaving each other room in towards the final. Oh my goodness, that was close. But Nick just about had the edge there, but Senna's going to have DRS. Let's watch Senna heading towards turn number 1. Surely Senna's going to have a good run in towards turn 1 now. I think it's going to be no contest. Lay on the brakes, goes Senna. Oh my goodness, contact made from the two of them.
Yeah, Senna there just, I think just misjudging that a little bit. He was just a little bit too far back to get that slowed down without making contact at the apex, but yeah, fortunately for Nick and Senna, neither of them got really spun around this. I believe that's Brenner that's around in the final corner. In fact, going the wrong way on the track, as Senna and Nick are still squabbling for P6 in this race. And
they're still going for it, aren't they? It's beautiful.
And switchback again from Nick, and Nick will have DRS. You got to think now, this is where it's over. This is where that battle is done for now. Nick with DRS should be able to hold away as Cracky up in the P3.
There's battle happening for P3 and there's a battle happening for P6. Welcome to One Hub Racing, everybody, if you just joined us. Because now, this is great racing.
Now, Jess.
What?
If I'm Lukey and Cracky, I'm wanting to work together here, because you've lost about 1.5 seconds by battling to Casper in this race. Both of you could be on the podium. Like, I think they need to start working together, because I think Cracky does have the pace to close up on Casper.
I think they do. I think they do have the pace. They just can't afford to squabble like this each lap. They just DRS each other and then they can gain all that time. Casper does not have DRS on Tony because of how far back they are. If they keep making sure that people have DRS, they should be able to close in. Malvin and Konzo having a ding-dong fight. Malvin, by the way, yet to stop in this race. Yes, to do a second stop. So Malvin's staying in a 10th. Konzo up to 9th now. Entity now with a penalty. If we get a late safety car, this could change the whole complexity of this race. The ones with penalties will definitely be screwed.
Yeah, and obviously that'll play into the benefits of not only Craggy and Lukey, but also the likes of Nick, Konzo down in 9th place, Callum and Arm down in 12th. That'll play right into their hands if there is a late safety car, and of course it is lap 23 of 28. There's still time for a safety car to be deployed, but in terms of my prediction for safety cars, I mean, it's completely out the window now. I can't get 2 safety cars at this point, so my prediction's gone.
No, I don't think we could get even one. They're just keeping it clean. Well, we had one VSC. Does that count? No, it doesn't. It doesn't count, Jess. What are you on about? It does not count. But
No.
we would have had a safety car by now, and they're just keeping it relatively stable as well. Plenty of points on offer, of course. And this could mean that quite a few people could be out of contention if they do not get a move on. Tony leads from Casper in second. It looks like it's going to be a foregone conclusion for Tony winning this one. His pace on the hards is incredible. Lukey trying to attack Craggy. They just got to work fast if they want to stay within Casper's penalty range. Casper's on 3 seconds. If they just gain 2 more seconds on Casper, they could be on the podium. But now, because they're squabbling, they're losing about a second, which is not good for them at all. Nick, by the way, already clear of Senna. He's loving life, but he's 7.7 seconds behind Axelot. So he's got a lot of work to do, but still I think he'll take P6 at the moment.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, Nick has had a great race so far, but obviously the battles he's been involved in has cost him time, and obviously he'll be looking back and thinking, maybe if I didn't fight this that hard, maybe if I wasn't fought that hard, like, it'll be a lot of hindsight 50-50 there for Nick after this race, that's for sure, but it doesn't take away from the fact he's done an incredible job so far.
Yeah, I think fair play to the entire tier so far. I think a majority of drivers have kept it relatively clean and given us some good battles on track. And I wish we could see this next week when we head to Mexico. And Mexico's another high downforce track as well, but a lot harder for our drivers to contend with. So it's going to take a lot of skill, I'll have to say, when we head to Mexico next week. Tony setting the fastest lap on... Oh, my God. I can't even do that on softs. He is a madman, is Tony. That is why he's a favourite for the driver's title. Absolutely incredible. As Konzo gets a time penalty now, and I think we are approached the point where we're not going to get any safety cars right now.
Ooh, do you know what? Actually, I've just noticed something as well, Jess.
What?
Also, we've got a lovely little freeway battle for P7 right now between Senna, Konzo, and Entity.
Oh, yes,
All
we
three of them
are.
have penalties. All 3 of them has penalties. Callum and Arm done in P10. If they lose 1.5 seconds, Callum could jump up to P7 here.
Callum can be just like, yoink, that's my P7. And Colin and Callum is actually going to benefit from the clear air as well. So he's not going to be squabbling. He's going to just gain a lot of time. He can burn the ERS too. So he's going to have a huge advantage. Let's get the penalties up on screen. Senna's on 16 seconds. Don't know how. Konzo on 3 and so is Entity. Callum already is around 7/10 behind Entity. So Konzo and Entity and Senna have got to work together here. And speaking of Konzo, down the inside of Senna, up into 7th. But for how much longer?
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. How much longer? Because Konzo's on the set of the soft tyres, and they are going to fall away on the final few laps. Entity trying to get the move done on Senna here as well. And we've seen Senna get his elbows out in this race. And look at this gap between these guys and Callum and Arm begin to close down now. It's down to... Oh, I believe Callum and Arm might have made a mistake there, actually. So it didn't come down as much as I would have thought. But Entity through up into P8. And I think as long as these guys are able to not battle each other to oblivion, they might be able to stay ahead of Callum. But if they do battle each other, then it could be a P7 finish for Callum and Arms here.
They could be in a spot of a bother if they keep fighting like that. So let's watch out as we've got 3 more laps to go of this race. Anything could happen as Cashman setting the fast lap of the race on mediums now. What could it be for him as Waitsy has come in now for his final stop. So I do believe everybody has now done their 2 stops. So Waitsy going to try and go for fastest lap potentially.
Yeah, and the gap between Casper and Craggy is 5 seconds, yes, and they need to find 2 seconds if they want to get within Casper's time penalty.
Yeah, not long to go now. They've got to work for it. They've got to work for it. Axelot, maybe not, because he's got that penalty, so no matter what happens with him, he's going to lose some time, but maybe he could be a cork in the bottle. NC, by the way, gets past Konzo again. They can't afford to fight like this. They're losing time. Callum's just gaining like crazy right now, and Callum might even get past them on track. So we'll have to see what happens there. Tony, by the way, is just about to cross the line to start lap 27 of 28, the penultimate lap of this race.
Yeah, and just looking at how the race is shaping up right now, I think Casper has got enough in the tank where he can hold on to that P2.
Yes.
I think Karaki, if he's going to have any hope, he has to really now dump the ERS and absolutely go for it now if he wants any hope of jumping up in the P2 in this race. But he would leave himself vulnerable to Lukey in behind, so I can understand why he wouldn't. And I think the pressure that Lukey's applying to Craggy and these two looking to try and get that final podium position, they're just hoping for a mistake on Casper at this point because neither of them are going to have the ability to really push on to try and catch the Haas.
Oh, Senna serving his penalty and trying to go for fastest lap. Kajman doing the same, but he's got no penalty. So both of them wanting to go for fastest lap. They're going to be so close to each other, they may not get fastest lap anyway. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, Lukey wants to get position on track for P3. Here he goes to the inside in towards turn at 12. And looks like it's going to be easy pickings for the Aston Martin driver who's looking to close in the championship. Lukey up to third for now. But again, for how much longer? Craggy wants to respond to this as well. But maybe it's a little bit too early for Lukey because Craggy will have DRS next lap.
Yeah, he will have DRS next lap, and I think that's why Craggy didn't really fight it too much. I mean, we've seen him try to go side by side before through the likes of turn 12, 13, and 14, and 15, and Craggy not really putting up much of a fight that time around. I think he's content in this position right now, is Craggy, because he knows he's going to get DRS back in. It's just going to be a case of, is Axlock going to get involved to try and spoil the party here?
We'll have to wait and see. Will Axlock be the cork in the bottle, as I was saying earlier? But we're on the final lap of this COTA race. No safety cars. We only had one VSC, and it's been absolutely incredible. COTA always delivers at One Hub Racing, and we would like to thank you for watching every minute of it. Konzo in towards turn 2 and 3, gets past Entity up into 7th place. But penalties may change everything in regards to that. Craggy, it's looking like he's going to get a good ride. I don't think Lukey's going to fight this because Lukey's going to time this well to try and get DRS potentially. No, bit of a squirmy. Is Craggy going to get the DRS? Craggy's going to get the run in towards turn 11 and 12. Little King, here they go. Who's going to have the straight line speed here? Surely Lukey might go for the lunge in towards turn 12, but he's not going to. He's not going to fight too much here as well. Now heading towards turn 13 and 14. Axelog still winning this as well. We can see Tony in the background about to unlap. About to lap the likes of Barrett as well. But here comes Tony in towards the last few corners. He has not put a foot wrong. He won the sprint race. And it is 2 for 2 here at COTA. Tony wins in the Circuit of the Americas. Once again, it is 3 wins in a row. Casper will come across the line in P2. Brilliant result for him. Again, it is a Haas 1-2. And Craggy just about gets Lukey up the line in 3rd and 4th. Laxlock in 5th. And Nick will come across the line in 6th. Hopefully he didn't run out of fuel. Nope, he didn't. That's all good. So P6, great result for him. Then we've got Entity, Konzo, Callum will jump both Entity and Konzo up to 7th. What a race, Mike.
And that was incredible. Look at that, half a tenth between Entity and Callum in the end. So the battling between Entity and Konzo ended up costing Entity a P7 finish.
And because we got the race coming up in real life, I think we got to get head off very, very quickly. Let's pick our driver of the day. Mike, who would you like to give your driver of the day to, and what would your question be?
I would like to give my driver of the day to Craggy. Absolutely incredible drive from him. And my question to him would be, massive congratulations on the podium. You showed incredible pace throughout the entirety of this round. Did you expect to be up there battling for the podiums when you came into COTA this weekend?
I was going to pick Craggy, but luckily the other person I had in mind, you didn't pick as well. So I'm going to go for that person. Craggy, brilliant result. And he deserves a nomination for sure. But my driver of the day nomination is going to be the same. Well, it's going to be Tony. He did not put a foot wrong. He won the sprint. He climbed his way through to take the lead at a very crucial moment. and he showed that he had pace here this weekend. And my question for Tony is, another dominant performance from yourself. Did you think that the hards were going to work today, or did you think that the medium runners were going to catch up to you? And massive congratulations to you. And it's another Haas 1-2. And we're still debating on whether the constructors has been decided yet, but I'm sure, almost certain you will find out on social if they has. But we'll go for your results quickly. Tony, Casper, Craggy, Lukey, Axelot, Nick, Callum, Entity, Conzo, Malvin. And we got Waitsy, Senna, your final point scorers. Jay gets the fastest lap as well, so he gets a point. Then we got Ben Howard, Barrow, and then your DNFs, Arnold, and Leroy. So that's the last of our sprint races. Next week we head to the likes of Mexico on the 27th of October. Halloween weekend. Hopefully no one will have the fear of Mexico next week and have a good race around there.
Yeah, let us hope as we obviously enter spooky season now, that it won't be getting spooky out on track and there will be no fear from any of the drivers out there.
I hope not either. But thank you to Mike who joined me in the commentary box, and thank you to you lot for watching at home. Thank you to all the drivers. Make sure you follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube, and also follow us on X and Instagram and TikTok at One Hub Racing. Also, thank you very much to all of our sponsors: SimGrid, Next Level Racing, Vespa Team, Pure Sim Gear, and Mental Health Foundation. For myself and Mike, thank you very much. We will see you next week at the same time, 6 p.m. UK time, because again, it'll be the real life Mexico Grand Prix that people want to watch, where they all go to Mexico City for a normal short qualifying and then a normal 50% race. See you then, but for now, make sure you enjoy the real life United States Grand Prix and have a nice evening as well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.